Hi guys, I did a bunch of these in class with you, but today I'll go ahead and do a few more just so that you can get comfortable with it. Now, this is all about practice, okay? Go ahead and grab your sheet that says expanding expressions. Even if you already did it, go ahead and check your answers. You can fast forward and check your answers. Um, I told you to just do the even numbers, but if by any chance you feel that you haven't mastered it, please challenge yourself and do the odd numbers so that you can practice a little more. So I'm going to do number 10, 12, and 14, and you go ahead and do 16, 18, and 20 by yourselves. If you want the additional practice, do these, and I do suggest that you do them if you have time. Okay, so basically, in this, you are going to always rewrite them. Don't try to use this sheet. You need room. So rewrite them. Do not forget your signs. And remember that this parenthesis means multiplication. So in this one, you are multiplying this number with this number, and then you're going to multiply this number with this number. Okay, so you're going to distribute what's outside of the parenthesis. You're going to distribute it with all of these. Okay, so negative 2/7 times negative 1/3 m. The first thing is a negative and a negative equals what? A negative times a negative is a positive. So you know, I'm going to start putting my answers here. You know this first answer is going to be positive. So how do you multiply fractions? You multiply the numerator. 2 times 1 is 2. Multiply the denominator. 7 times 3 is 21. M. So this one is 2 over 21m, and it's a positive. So I'm not putting anything because it's a negative and a negative. Okay, let's look at the other one. A negative times a negative. Well, a negative and a negative is a positive. So I already know that my next one is also going to be positive. So I went ahead and put the sign, and you have 2/7 times 1/5. 2 times 1 is 2. 7 times 5 is 35. So that is your simplified answer. Okay, let's go to number 12. Now, once you get really good at this, you'll know that you don't really have to rewrite them. You could just say 2, this one times this one. Okay, so this is a negative and a positive. Well, a negative times a positive is going to be a negative. 2 times 5 is 10. 6 times 9 is 54. P. Now let's go to your next one. It's a negative times a negative. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 7 is 14. 6 times 9 is 54. And you are done with this one. Negative 10 over 54p plus 14 over 54. Okay, so again, you don't really have to write it. I just, whatever works for you. I definitely don't want you to do it in your head. Okay, so let's do this one quickly too. This times this first. So negative times a negative is a positive. So your first number is going to be positive. You could either put the positive or put nothing. It doesn't matter. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 6 is 30r. Now let's go to the next one. This times this. Negative times a negative is a positive. So it's 1530r plus 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 4 is 20. And that is your answer. Done. Period. End of story. So I want you to go ahead and do the rest. And that's it. This one is kind of simple. So most of you I know did master this already. Let's go to the next one. Okay, on this one, this is my answer key. So you guys, obviously yours doesn't look like this, but this is the one that starts with the -4 parentheses 7 plus 10, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you're going to do a little bit of distribution here, and you are going to also combine like terms. So we did a lot of these in class. Let's do some more. I'm going to do some of the odd numbers, and I want you to go ahead and complete your even numbers and practice with the odd numbers as well. And please go back and review all the steps that I am doing here. I'm going to do number 9. Okay, and in this, I am going to always ask you to rewrite it. So number 9 is negative 9, 4 minus 7, negative 8v minus 10v. Now, guys, remember, if you miss a sign when you're rewriting, you're going to get the whole thing wrong. Okay? So first, remember PEMDAS. Okay? You can't forget the order of operations. Parenthesis goes first, then exponents, then multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction. Okay? These rules are always going to apply in math, even here. So try to work inside the parenthesis. Is there anything you can combine in the parenthesis? Yes, because these are both whole numbers. So you can first do 4 minus 7. By now you should know, you don't have to do keep, change. You should, by looking at it, you should know that the 4 is smaller than the negative 7. So your answer is going to be negative 3. Okay? Now you can bring everything else down. You're going to keep the parenthesis because this parenthesis means multiplication. Okay, just bring everything down. Now, even though I know I can combine this, I'm going to stick to this first, okay? What is negative 9 times negative 3? Well, a negative and a negative is a positive, so I know my answer is going to be positive. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, now I'm going to combine these. Remember, look how I'm grabbing the sign from in front of it, because that sign belongs to this number. This sign belongs to this number. Now, I can combine these because they both have a v. So negative 8v and a negative 10v. A negative plus another negative is a bigger negative. Okay, now if you're like, well, Miss Lorenzo, where did you get the plus from? Well, remember, when you do keep, change, doesn't that become a plus and this becomes a negative? Well, same thing, but by now you shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to see negative 8 and a negative 10. It is a negative 18v. And this is your answer. Okay, that's your answer. Let's do number 11. You have negative 9, 5 minus 4v plus 7v. Okay, now this is saying that I'm going to multiply this with everything in here. But first, I'm going to look inside the parenthesis. Is there anything inside the parenthesis that I can combine? Okay, combining like terms. Well, this has a v and this has a v, so I can combine them. Okay, now this negative, remember, it belongs to this guy. So you can circle or put a little square. You have a negative 4v and a positive 7v. So negative 4 plus 7. Well, what do you do when you're combining a negative and a positive? You're actually taking the difference. What's the difference between 4 and 7? It's 3, and it's going to be positive because the 7 is bigger and he's a positive. So this is 3v. Okay, now bring this down, but it's positive 3v. Okay, and now you bring the 5. And you have to put the plus. Okay, plus 3v. That's what you're left with. Close your parenthesis. This is negative 9. Now you can go ahead and distribute this 9. This is going to mean 9 times 5 and 9 times 3. Okay, so it's negative 9 times 5 is negative 45. And now you say negative 9 times 3v. Well, 9 times 3 is 27, but it's going to be negative because a negative and a positive is a negative. So negative 9 times 3 is negative 27v. And this is your answer. And do you see how neat I'm doing it? Because you could make a lot of mistakes on this. Okay, let's do one more on this. Negative 9. I'm going to go faster, okay, guys? I'm going to look in here. What can I combine inside of here? I can do the 1 and the 6. They're both positive, so that is 7 plus 6v, negative 9. Now I'm going to multiply negative 9 times 7. It is 60. Whoa. 63, sorry. It's negative 63. Negative 9 times 6. Well, what is 9 times 6? It's 54, but it's negative, so negative 54v. And this is your answer. You have to be careful with this because if you get my signs wrong, I'm going to mark it wrong. You're going to get it wrong in the test, okay? That's it. You're done with this. Okay, now let's go to the third thing. And there was a lot of concepts that we're learning, and there's a lot more to learn, so you have to master all of them. Okay. Now let's learn this. When you have a negative here or a minus, you're saying this minus all of this. What's going to happen is that you have to, this negative here is going to change the signs of everybody inside this parenthesis. Now, this, remember, belongs to all of this. This does not belong to this. This belongs to all of these. So what this negative is going to do is it's going to change the sign of this guy, and it's going to change the sign of this guy. So if he was a positive, he's now going to become a negative. If he was a positive, he's now going to become a negative. Okay, what you're really doing in theory is that you're multiplying all of these by negative 1. Okay, so imagine like there's a negative 1 here. Okay, but to make it easy for you, just go ahead and change everybody's sign. So I'm going to rewrite this. I can go ahead and get rid of the parenthesis now. I'm going to rewrite these. And I did this with you in class, but I'm going to do this one all over again. Now I'm going to go ahead and start changing everybody's sign. So 8/9 g, it's going to become a negative 8/9 g. Positive 7, it's going to become a negative 7 because he made everybody here change. Okay, now that you have it like this, I'm going to combine like terms. And what can we combine? Well, let's get the easy one out of the way. Let's get the whole numbers. I have a positive 20 and a negative 7. Well, what is 20 minus 7? It's 13. Positive 13, right? So our answer, you know, is going to end in positive 13. Okay? Now, this is where it gets a little hard, but it's not. It's just, you have to remember all your rules. You have 30/45g minus 8/9g minus 8/9g. So all you have to do now is remember how to add and subtract fractions. Well, in this case, we're subtracting 30/45g minus 8/9g. Well, when you subtract and add fractions, all you do is find common denominators. What is the common denominator between 45 and 9? Always look at your biggest number first. Does it have something in common? Yes, it does. How many times does 45 go into 1? 1. 1 times 30 is 30. How many times does 9 go into 45? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. 5. 5 times 8 is 40. Now you're going to find the difference because remember we're subtracting. What is the difference between 30 and 40? It's 10 over 45. The denominator stays the same. Now you're going to say, well, hold on, Ms. Lorenzo. Is this going to be negative or positive? Well, which one is bigger? Well, this one is definitely bigger, right? 40 over 45. It is bigger than this one. And 8/9, that's the one that had the negative. So my answer is going to be negative. Okay, so you look at the common denominator ones because this is the same as this and this is the same as this. And this is the bigger one, so you'll already know that that number is the biggest. And if you forgot to put your sign, just look back up here and you'll see that that was the negative. So your answer is going to be negative 10/45g. And there is another way of knowing which fraction is bigger, but we're not going to go into this today. I'll remind you in class on another time. So that's your answer. Let's do one more of these. Let's do number 5. Let's skip all the way down to number 4. Let's do number 4 together. Now, if you look here, it's a positive. So even it's not going to change anything here, because if this was a negative, a positive and a negative is still a negative. Okay? And if this was a negative, again, a positive and a negative, it would have stayed a negative. But in this case, this is a positive and this is a positive. So they're going to stay exactly like that. So this positive is not going to do anything ever. The negative is the problem. Because he has a negative here, everything inside this parenthesis is going to change signs. So let's begin to rewrite. 12/18 is going to become a negative 12/18. Negative 12/18c. The positive 18 is going to become a negative 18. So negative 18. And now I'm just going to rewrite all of these. Plus 7/9c plus 19. Okay? Now we're going to combine like terms. Let's get the easy ones first. Negative 18, and you see how I make a square, and a positive 19. What is a negative 18 and a positive 19? It is a positive 1. You get the difference, and the 19 is bigger, so it's positive 1. Now I'm going to do a circle on these like terms. I have a 12/18c. Remember it's c, but I'm not going to put it so that I can, and a 7/9c. But I have a negative and a positive. So when you have a negative and a positive, you're going to get the difference. So we're subtracting, right? Got to do this carefully. That's why you cannot be distracted when you're doing this. Common denominator between 18 and 9 is 18. How many times does 18 go into 18? 1. 1 times 12 is 12. 9 goes into 18 2 times. 2 times 7 is 14. Remember, we're subtracting, so we're getting the difference. What is the difference between 12 and 14? It's 2. So your answer is 2 over the same denominator, 18. Now, which is the biggest one? Is it this one or this one? Well, wait, it's this one. For sure, this is this one. Was this one the negative one or this is the positive one? I don't remember. Let's look. Well, this one was this. And now I look up here. And that's positive. So it's going to be positive. So my answer is a positive 2/18 over c. So plus, oh, I'm sorry. Don't do it here. Sorry, don't do it here. Always put the coefficient ones first. So 2/18c plus 1. That is my answer. Now, could you simplify this? Yes. 1 over 9c plus 1, same thing, okay? But for today, I don't want you guys to simplify. I just want you to master this, all right? So I'm just going to tell you, this is going to change this. This is going to change this. Okay, here. This is going to change this. This is going to change this. So this is going to be a negative. This is going to be a positive. Rewrite it. Combine like terms. That's step 1. Step 2, if you have fractions, remember the rules of adding and subtracting fractions. This is all 5th grade stuff, guys. And also remember to look back and find out which one was the negative one, which one was the biggest one, so that you don't mess up your signs. And I think you got it. We're going to practice a little bit more tomorrow, and then we have to learn some new stuff. All right, guys. Bye. See you tomorrow.